On April 5th, 2013, James Kirkpatrick tweeted, "These two books contain the sum total of all human knowledge," with photos of the books, What They Teach You at Harvard Business School and What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. This is the Museum of Twitter, the show we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. This one is in here for a very simple reason. I think it's funny, and a lot of other people found it funny. It's since been deleted, so I can't tell you how many times it was retweeted, but I can tell you from trying to look up examples that reference it, this tweet has been copied so many times. And it's usually worded in a much lamer way. It's usually like, math joke folks, these two books contain all the knowledge that humans have, whereas James words it perfectly. These two books contain the sum total of all human knowledge. Because I think using the highfalutin language of the sum total of all human knowledge really underscores how silly the punchline is. Because technically speaking, yes, if you knew everything that they teach you at Harvard Business School, and you knew everything that they don't teach you at Harvard Business School, you would know every single thing there is to know. The joke here is reliant on the idea that the second book, Mark McCormick's What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, literally teaches you every single thing and all the knowledge that humanity has accrued that is not specifically taught in Harvard Business School. Obviously, what the book actually teaches you is the business tips and tricks that you only can learn from being a businessman, but I like the implication that, like, it starts off being like, okay, they don't teach you about flowers at Harvard Business School, so let's talk about chrysanthemums. They don't teach you about stars at Harvard Business School, so let's talk about red dwarfs. They don't teach you about Radiohead at Harvard Business School, so let's talk about the singles off of their 1995 album, The Bends. And so yeah, if you were to read a book that told you everything that they teach at Harvard Business School, and then you learned every single piece of information that they don't teach at Harvard Business School, you would know everything any human has ever known. And that is a really silly joke, and it tickles me. Now, when Autistic Brownies posted this screenshot to Instagram, Bulgra said, or actually had a comment which I enjoyed, which was, this is actually a really great way to teach the complement rule. The rule that the sum of a probability of an event and its complement must equal 1. Obviously, this joke is not relying on probability, but it's the same principle. And usually when this specific tweet is referenced, like I said, it's just copied word for word. But I did see someone named Wendy who wrote an essay on Medium about her time at Harvard Business School where she actually referenced this tweet. And when Business Writer Trunk Fan was asking people for the best book about their particular industry, he joked in the thread, alternatively, you could just read these two books and be done with it. But my favorite way that this is referenced is that people will make this joke with other sets of books. Like Marius Milla posted, these two books contain the sum total of all human knowledge, with books called The First 3 Minutes, A Modern View of the Origin of the Universe, and After the First 3 Minutes, The Story of Our Universe. Dennis posted, these two books contain the sum total of all human knowledge, and posted books called How to Be Yourself and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Garrett Gilchrist posted, these two books contain the sum total of all human knowledge, with both of Leonard Nimoy's autobiographies, I Am Not Spock and I Am Spock. This one technically doesn't work, but I like the joke. And in early 2020, David posted, these two articles contain the sum total of all human knowledge, and the articles were Everything We Don't Know About the Coronavirus and Everything We Know About the COVID Coronavirus. Look, this joke is not that complicated, it's just about taking a title of a book literally. And that's what a lot of Twitter was back in the day. In fact, I think one of the reasons why Twitter is worse than it used to be is because there's a lot less of jokes like this. I get that we don't live in silly times, but sometimes you need something a little silly. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and if you want to support the show, please go to patreon.com/Museum of Twitter. We get the weekly Museum of Not Twitter, and you can vote when I cover on Subscriber Sundays.